Hi students, welcome to week 1 of organizational behavior. To help you along in this online format, each week I'll do a short overview of the upcoming week. I'll provide an overview of what the chapter's about, some key terms that you should be looking for, and then some interesting concepts from the text, and might even throw in a little personal story along the way as well, if it seems to fit. Each week, you'll also have access to a PowerPoint that the text's author provides as another way to understand the material. So between the text and the author's PowerPoints and these short overviews, and you're reading and studying it as well, you'll have multiple methods available to you to help understand the material. And also don't forget to check out this week's devotional about conflict and conflict management. Working in a small group environment requires some conflict management skills. You get a lot of chance to practice that. If you've ever worked in a small group or in a team, you know what I'm talking about. The Bible provides an excellent model on how to resolve conflicts and disputes between other people. So check out that short devotional on conflict management, and hopefully it'll be of a help to you. Let's go through an overview of the material for week 1. Chapter 1 provides a definition of small groups and then for teams, and discusses empowerment, presents a framework for small group interactions, and then finally a systems view or systems look at how small groups operate. Now notice the differences when you read the definitions, the differences between a small group and a team. Teams are actually subsets of small groups, so teams are considered small groups, but not all small groups are teams. So check out the examples in the text as well that the author presents about between small groups and then teams, and you'll start to understand why just studying teams is not as broad of a discussion as studying small groups. Okay, so there's also quite a bit of discussion about empowerment, and the term empowerment, as used in the business context, has been around since probably about the early 90s is when I remember it. I remember the term came on the scene and it was novel at the time. At the time, I worked in an IT department and led the IT department in our company, and our environment was anything but empowering. It was very controlling, very micromanaged, and that sort of thing. And you just didn't step outside the bounds of your own job responsibility. So the whole idea that I was empowered suddenly to use my talents and skills and ability to help a company, even outside of my formal job description, was wonderful. This chapter also presents a framework for small group interactions. Check out figure 1.1 in the text. The framework suggests that small groups are always negotiating the workplace environment by addressing these 3 different elements. You can look at this in the framework and see it for yourself, but there's the workplace influences, other people pressing in on the small group. There's personal backgrounds, our own biases, our own demographics, our own way that we were raised also is part of one of those elements that we have to negotiate in small groups. And then there's the workplace consequences. There are good consequences and bad consequences for not performing. So all 3 of those elements are mixing together, and people in small groups continually move in and through those elements, both as individuals and as a collective group. So small group dynamics is not easy, given our individual backgrounds and the workplace expectations. So this book overall provides a model and then suggestions on how to navigate the very muddy waters of small groups. And finally, there's a discussion about seeing small groups as a system. Now, don't let that word systems theory and that phrase worry you too much. All we're talking about is understanding that small groups work through a process that they have, and as they go through that process, they navigate these different items like inputs and outputs and throughputs and cycle times and feedbacks and equilibrium and that sort of thing. So if you haven't heard those sorts of terminologies before, if you haven't had a systems class before, don't let it worry you. You're going to be just fine. All right, so make sure you're reading the terms throughout the chapter. The terms that you'll want to pay attention to are identified right up in the front of chapter 1, as is with all those chapters in this book. Again, pay close attention to the systems language and know the difference between small groups and teams. A quick note about virtual teams. These types of small groups have evolved quite quickly over the last few years. They've been fueled and pushed along in their expansion by technology. But now that technology has enabled collaboration between remote people who've never met and may never meet, quite honestly, work has to be done on how to get these people still to work together. All right? Technology just causes us to see and hear each other. It's no guarantee of results. So there's quite a bit of discussion in Chapter 1 on the whole idea of the virtual team concept. And so make sure you check that out as well. All right, that's all the further I'm going to go for right now. Please read carefully and thoughtfully Chapter 1. The examples are good and the research is solid, so spend some time in this foundational chapter. A reminder that your initial response in Canvas to each of your 2 discussion questions is due by Wednesday, 11:59 p.m. in your time zone. Your responses to a minimum of 3 of your cohort discussion questions, other people that are responding as well, are due by 11:59. So make sure you read all the discussion responses from your other classmates and respond to 3 of those. All right, and those responses are due by Sunday, 11:59 p.m. And you have to have 3 responses to your other cohorts. All right. Quizzes have to be completed in Canvas no later than 11:59 p.m. on Friday, so don't forget that. And your assignments must be completed and uploaded into Canvas no later than Sunday, 11:59, once again in your own time zone. Also, I'm available during virtual office hours on Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Remember, I live in the Eastern time zone, so just kind of keep that in mind. So I use Zoom, and you can find the link in the welcome module for Zoom. You know, just pop in and out during that time with whatever questions or concerns you might have. Additionally, you're always welcome to contact me, even outside of virtual office hours, and we can talk via phone or Zoom meeting. So please make sure you contact me if you're struggling. All right, remember, God is on his throne. He's always been there, and he's always going to be. Have a great week.